Proud Pops. Looks like this is circa 1982. That makes sense. That's when I was born. Let's open this up. There's my father holding me. That's a picture. You can see his wedding band. And there's a picture of a pregnant lady in the background. Or something, maybe a painting. See his chipped tooth? He still has that. We have very similar noses. Looks like he's wearing a cap. He's probably wearing a hospital cap. But he also had shaggy hair that was the 80s. But in the 70s too. Shag was in. Big bushy eyebrows. On both sides of the family. Yeah. My mom tells me that when she met him, she thought he was Mexican. And he thought she was Armenian, so go figure. They met in, that's a good, I could tell you the story of how they met. The older I get, the more I get to these stories, but the more I get of these stories, but they would take the same bus. My dad would be on the bus and then my mom would come on after him. And my dad would be, he was working as a bank teller, I think. And he's an epileptic, so he can't drive. So he would take the bus to work. And then my mom, she came over from Mexico, lived with her sister. And then they were both living in, I think this is Glendale. I'm not the best at LA geography. She would get on the bus after him, and yeah, so the bus driver was hitting on her. They told me this recently, actually, more details, because as you get, I guess, as I get more mature and more older, they share more details. When you're younger, you get the G version, and then you go up. So my mom was flirting with the bus driver. She had this other bus driver who kind of wanted to date her. This one, I guess, was just a paramour, some guy who liked her. And my dad with the big mouth was like, why don't you just date this guy? Why do you keep stringing him along? Stepped in, used that as a way to get to know her. And then he started trying to talk to her. And then, so one day, let me think, I'm messing up the story. He had to get off. He wanted her number. She said no, and he was like, come on, and she didn't give her number out to anyone. My mom's adamant, I didn't give my number out to anyone. She's like maybe 27, 28, my dad's like 25, 26, because they dated for 6 months and then they got married. And when they got married, she was 28, he was 26. And then they had me 2 years later. I was the second. So they had me when she was 30 and he was 28. So he was like 26, 25, and he was like, come on, give me your number. She was like, no. And he wouldn't get off the bus. So he did like the whole like temper tantrum. I'm not leaving the bus till you give me the number. But like in a charming way, you know. And then the bus driver was like, look, lady, give this guy the number. I gotta move the bus. And so finally, she was like, you won't remember it. He was like, I'll remember it, because he didn't have anything to write with. So she just said it to him. And then later on that night, the story goes that like she was rooming with a lady we call Aunt Mary, which most of my life I thought she was our aunt or my aunt. But apparently she was just someone that my mom roomed with. Really nice lady from Canada. Aunt Mary would like swim across some like short some short portion of the Great Lakes. She would swim across to like visit the boys when she was a teenager. All these weird stories not weird, but like stories I got when I was younger visiting Aunt Mary. But she was a really sweet lady. She was a mother figure to my mom when she was here, after she moved out of her sisters, because her sister was a young married woman with kids, and you don't get along with the husband, blah blah blah. So she comes home that night, and Aunt Mary's like, the sweetest man called, and he's so sweet, and you should really give that boy a chance. And that was my dad, that was Tim. So he was a talker, he was a very charming man. He charmed my mom into giving her number, this conservative Christian Mexican who didn't give her number to anyone. And then he charmed her, the lady who she rented a house, or she rented a room from. And we would visit Aunt Mary when I was a kid, all the way up to when she passed. I don't remember when she passed, but she was an animator. She was an artist at Hanna-Barbera, and I remember she had all these cells, hand-painted cells, of like all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And she took my mom, and she was a really sweet lady. And yeah, that's an LA story of how they met on the bus. And so this is 2 years after that. He knew my mom for, that's crazy, 2 years, 6 months. And he's having a baby, second baby with her. And that is what is in this picture. This guy who married this lady, this Mexican, he's a guy from, oh yeah, I should tell you who these people are. My dad from Orange County, Newport Beach, marries this Mexican from Guadalajara, Mexico, who came to LA, and she was working in insurance. He was working in a bank, and they had a little whirlwind romance for 6 months, got married, had a couple kids. I was a second, and they say I came out looking like a raccoon, hair all over my face, and you can see I still have the hair, but back then it was just like, I was just a funny little kid. And last story about this picture, my mom said that when I was born, I was crying, and she had 3 C-sections, so she didn't have any natural birth. She's a very small frame. They had to cut her open. Also, we have big heads. I don't know if you can tell right now, but I was always teased as a kid. They call me Bonk. I don't know if you remember that video game. Bonk was a kid with a big head running around. So, yeah, you know, kids. They became my friends, but we all tease each other. And so, yeah, she had a C-section, and she's just laying there exhausted, and then they're holding the baby, and I'm crying, and my mom's like, cállate, niño, which is like Spanish for, shut up. And apparently I just shut up, and I looked at her. So I was like, I recognized her voice. So that's a funny thing. It's like, you don't remember these things. I guess your memories don't form until later. What are my earliest memories? I don't know. Young, but not then. I'll remember this picture, which is a trip. And as you get older, I think it's easier and easier to put yourself in the position of your parents. And I am 36 now. And my dad in this picture is 30, so 6 years younger than me, and already starting a family. It's just stuff like that blows your mind, right? That's crazy.